Excuse me. So, this is Gene from NYC, and I've got another video here. So, this is not about Fullmetal Alchemist per se, but this is about the voice actor for one Edward Elric, Vic Mignogna. So, there's been some updates. There's been a lot of updates, but I've just been trying to cover mainly the most important stuff. So, the most important thing, the newest thing out is that, one, the lawsuits against Vic's accusers, in particular Funimation, who in my estimation, in my opinion, unjustly fired him, and against Monica Rial, Jamie Marchi, and Monica's fiance, Ron Toye, or Toye. I don't know how you say his name. So, for those who may not be aware, I'm going to try to do a brief summary of what's happened, at least as I understand it. So, earlier this year, around late January, early February, Vic Mignogna was accused of having inappropriate contact with underage girls. He's a well-known voice actor in the anime dubbing community. It's well known that he has a female fan base that's usually which is usually teenagers, 13, 14, 15. He even has a group called the Visible Rangers, which is named after Edward Elric's hometown. And the majority of the girls in the fan base and in that particular group are teenagers. It's a well-known fact that the ladies love Vic, right? The young teenage girls love Vic. He's a bit of a rock star in the anime dubbing community, and like many rock stars, he has a lot of young fans. And he's known for actually being very physically affectionate with his fans, in particular hugging and kissing them, right? Nothing inappropriate, right? Kiss on the head, kiss on the cheek, hug, around the waist or around the shoulders. Nothing inappropriate, nothing overtly sexual. But earlier this year, he was accused of having inappropriate contact with these fans. Anime News Network came out with an article that was supposed to be detailing his predatory nature with these fans, except that one of the pictures they used and tried to pass off as a nervous fan, basically being touched inappropriately by Vic, was actually of a young girl who wanted Vic in the picture and wanted his attention and wanted the hug and the kiss. She, shortly after the Anime News Network article came out, she came out and said that those pictures were from her Facebook, that she did not give Anime News Network a permission to use the picture, and that they were basically misrepresenting the picture. I would say flat out lying, but that they were misapplying and misappropriating the picture, and they were taking it out of context. The true context, according to the woman who owns the picture, is that she was a teenager, she was part of the Visible Rangers, and basically they had arranged for, Vic to meet the group, and she was part of it. She was basically the organizer. Her mother was there during all the pictures. Long story short, everything was kosher. Anime News Network just happened to take a picture with where the girl looked nervous and uncomfortable and tried to turn it into something that it wasn't. So, more articles came out about Vic's supposed predatory behavior. Then two female voice actors, one Monica Rial, who Vic has worked with for years, and another Jamie Marchi, they came out and said that Vic had abused them, that he had been abusing them for years, that he had done things like grab their hair and speak sexily in their ear, truly creepy predatory nature, but they never actually provided proof. And actually they lashed out at fans when the fans asked for proof or more information about what they were claiming online that Vic had done. So once this whole story blows up, Vic gets fired by first Rooster Teeth, if I remember correctly. Then, after a short, and in my opinion, suspiciously short, investigation done by Funimation, now possibly Funimation or Sony, because Sony owns Funimation. But after an investigation, Funimation made a public statement saying that they and Vic had cut ties. So they fired Vic. Then Vic was dropped from most of his convention appearances, because naturally, when someone has that kind of heat on them, and you're a business, you're a small con, you don't want that attention, right? It's kind of like in Grand Theft Auto, when you take like the cop car into the paint spray, and then the paint spray won't work on the car because they're like, that's too hot, I can't do that. So Vic had ended up kind of like that for a time, and eventually, shortly after that, he contacted a law firm, got a lawyer, and while there's been a lot of bickering back and forth between the anime community and those who stand with Vic, which I would say I do. I certainly stand with Vic. There has been no proof on the opposing side that Vic did anything terribly wrong. If he's guilty of anything, he's guilty of being overly affectionate. That's it. But anyhow, so Vic, while basically the anime community and the fan base is tearing itself apart in this sort of, little internal world war, thanks Funimation, Vic lawyered up, and now he has formally filed a lawsuit. He has formally filed a lawsuit against Funimation, and against Monica Rial, and against Ron Toye, her fiance, and against Jamie Marchi. And this, from what I'm hearing, is only the first round of lawsuits going out. So there could be more lawsuits coming up. Many people are speculating that if there are more lawsuits going up, that the next round will involve people like Rooster Teeth. Well, Rooster Teeth is a company, not a person, but that it will involve Rooster Teeth, which maybe, possibly, my opinion, maybe that's why the the president of Rooster Teeth recently stepped down. Let me tell you something. Stepping down does not absolve you from what happened, Mr. President of Rooster Teeth. Okay, if there is a lawsuit against Rooster Teeth, which I believe there will be, guess what happens? You will be called to the carpet. You cannot outrun this, Mr. President of Rooster Teeth. I don't know what the person's name is, so that's what I'm referring to them as. There's also talk that perhaps I'm just gonna call her Mars Girl because that's her Twitter name. I forget her real name. I think it's like Caitlin Suseda or something to that effect, but I forget. So I'm just gonna call her Mars Girl. So some are saying Mars Girl might get sued, right? So a lot of stuff is afoot, and currently, from what I've heard, Vic is suing for $1 million for defamation, tortious interference, and a lot of other stuff. So I hope that pretty much sums up the recap. Now, the reason I'm making this video, right, is one, to sort of recap and to discuss the most recent findings, which is that Vic is finally suing, right? There's been talk and the anti-Vic side, which calls themselves Kick Vic, has been saying that he isn't really going to sue. Where's the paperwork? The paperwork has now gone out. Vic is not playing games. But on top of that, some information got out. It seems in the process. I'm not going to say in the process of discovery. Maybe perhaps just general investigation, because the discovery process hasn't come out yet. But basically, Rikita Law, Nick Rikita, who's been following this closely, has been very involved with it. In fact, he started up a GoFundMe to help Vic with his legal fees. He revealed that he was told by one of Vic's attorneys, I think the head attorney, Mr. Ty Beard, that the investigation, which I think is I hate calling it an investigation because I actually do. Well, I shouldn't say I do. I participate in the investigation process in my own job, and there's just so many flaws, so many red flags when I hear about Funimation's investigations that honestly, it insults me on a professional level. to refer to what they did, to the report that they did as an investigation. But supposedly they did an investigation, and apparently the incident, according to Monica Rial, because apparently this is the story she told the Funimation investigators, that the straw that broke the camel's back and convinced Funny to fire Vic is what's being called the jelly bean story. So here's what I've heard. Here's how I understand it. Apparently, about 8 years ago, keep this in mind, 8 years ago, Vic and Monica were having a conversation of some sort. Monica's eating jelly beans. Vic asked if he can have a jelly bean. Monica, for some odd reason, writes her name on the jelly bean. Vic pops the jelly bean in his mouth and jokes that he ate Monica. That's it. This apparently is the incident that broke the straw that broke the camel's back and got Vic fired. An incident that, first of all, is nothing. This doesn't violate any sort of sexual misconduct law or policy that I know of. And again, I work in the office that deals with these things in my job, and we're actually quite sensitive to this because I work in a college. So because of things like Me Too and Title IX and all this other stuff, I'm actually quite aware of what the rules on sexual misconduct are. And guess what? This interaction does not violate one of them. Now, no doubt that, to me, in my opinion, what Monica did was she tried to spin this and say that it was a sexual comment, right, because of the word ate. Here's the problem, though. When you look at the situation in context, it is clear that... So, as I was saying, when you look at this in context, right, it's clear that Vic was trying to be humorously literal, right? Monica gives him a jelly bean with the name Monica on it, and he eats it, and he says, "I ate Monica," right? So, to a reasonable person, I believe this would be clearly seen as him being literal for the sake of humor. No laws, no rules have been violated. Now, as I was saying earlier, no doubt Monica tried to spin this as somehow as a sexual comment. The thing is that even if you take this comment out of context, if you just say, "I ate Monica," that would sooner lead a person, at least in my opinion, that would sooner lead a person to believe that you're a cannibal before that they would automatically think of a sex act. Now, had Vic said something like, "I ate Monica out," or if you had even said something like, "Hey, look, I'm flicking Monica's bean," that would actually, again, she might actually have a case or a point had Vic said something like that, because both those phrases are known to be female sex acts, right? One being oral sex, the other one being masturbation. It is commonly understood that these phrases have a sexual connotation. "I ate Monica" in and of itself is not a sexual connotation. Again, had it been, that actually leans more toward cannibalism than it does a sexual act. So from what I can see, at least the way I would evaluate it, she took this comment, right, twisted it, tried to say that, oh, it was sexual in nature, and then this apparently is what got Vic fired. Apparently this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Another incident I was hearing about is apparently that there was a consensual kiss. I don't quite know what's going on with that, but still, I don't see how a consensual kiss violates anything, but I would need more information on that. But still, this is apparently, and again, Monica apparently sat on this for 8 years, for almost a decade. So she kept this to herself for 8 years, but now, all of a sudden, this is, gross sexual commentary, inappropriate language, all that other stuff, and it's enough to get Vic fired. Here's the thing, though. This incident, even if Vic was speaking in a sexual way, let's say, for the sake of argument, that this was a sexual comment, and this was meant to be taken and understood as a sexual come-on. While that would certainly grossly be inappropriate, it would be grossly inappropriate, this is still nowhere near the level of what Monica and Jamie were accusing him of. Remember, if you've seen it online, Monica and Jamie were basically accusing Vic of being Judge Frollo from Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Right? If you've ever seen that film, you might remember the scene where Frollo and Esmeralda are in the church, and Frollo comes up behind her, and he's sniffing her hair, and he's grabbing her throat. All this really creepy stuff. This is the story that Monica and Jamie were telling, that Vic is grabbing their hair, and he's whispering sexily in their ears, and all this other stuff. But the actual, from what I'm hearing and from what I've read, the actual incident that apparently convinced Funimation to get rid of Vic was one that Monica sat on for 8 years, and it involves him eating a jelly bean. No physical contact, no whispering in a woman's ear, no grabbing her hair. Him making a silly joke about eating a jelly bean with the name Monica on it. Now, I want to also, first of all, this is just insane. And there's another reason why I totally think that Funimation's investigation was BS. Let me just go over some of my reasons from a somewhat professional perspective as to why Funimation's investigation never should have been taken seriously in the first place. Number one, from what I can tell from the timeline, Funimation did their investigation in about a week's time. In my line of work, even if a case is open and shut, it takes a good month to 2 months to do an investigation, even if it's a open and shut easy, and I say that with quotation marks. As I was saying, first, their investigation took about a week, when it should have taken, in my experience, at least a month to 2 months. Two, there was a woman, Samantha Inoue Hart, who claimed, now I have to admit, I have no idea if this is true, but I do know, I was able to find out and confirm for myself, that she did claim to be part of Funimation's investigation. Now, I have no idea if that claim was true, but I do know that she made that claim. So she claimed to be part of the investigation, and then shortly afterward, she was found to be caught in the most obvious lie, right, when she reported what ultimately turned out to be a fake swatting, so it was a swatting hoax, and she tried to blame the swatting, which never happened, on Vic and his fans. So you have this woman caught red-handed, lying about a serious event, lying about a serious crime, blaming it on Vic and his supporters. Let's assume for a moment she actually was part of the investigation in some fashion. If she was, then any and everything she said, any and all information she provided, immediately comes under suspicion. In my estimation, on that alone, if she indeed was part of the investigation should have been thrown out. It's invalid now. Right? She lied. She was caught in a huge lie. How do you trust anything that she said or any information that she provided? Right? So there's that. And now we're up to this. Now some actual information about the investigation comes out, and we find out that they fired him over a bean joke. In my estimation, and in my professional opinion, a non-sexual bean joke. Funimation, and you wonder why you are being sued for $1 million. Guess what? At least as of right now, Monica and Jamie's claims of him being this Frollo-esque predator have not come true. One would imagine that if that happened even at least once, that Monica would have told Funimation during the investigation process. She didn't. This is the event that she gave to them, no doubt twisting it to make it seem like Vic was speaking in a sexual manner. And you wonder why you are getting sued. And what I love about, well, how do I put it? I don't love the fact that a lawsuit's happening, because let's be honest, this is happening because the Kick Vic side, Monica, her fiance, and everyone else on the Kick Vic side was trying to ruin the man's life. And while I don't believe that they were trying to get him to kill himself, as some people may have suggested, I also don't think they would have given a damn had Vic done so. So I'm very glad, first of all, that Vic has not taken his own life, and I pray that through this situation he will not take his own life. So while I don't think their death is his intention, I also don't think that they would give a damn if he died, if he took his own life. But getting back to the point, right now during there's a section of the paperwork that has officially come out, and it's basically talking about the evidence that both sides have to provide for the discovery process. And for Ron Toye in particular, right, he now has to back up everything he said in his tweets, right? He has to bring forth the 100 plus girls who apparently were harassed by Vic. He has to bring up the 4 or more friends who supposedly have info. He has to actually now prove what he said. This is why you don't make hyperbolic statements on Twitter. This is why if someone has done something especially egregious, you don't handle it on Twitter. You don't handle it in the court of public opinion. You handle it in the court of law. Because guess what? The court of law is going to make you prove every damn thing you said. Okay? As I said in another video, Twitter is not your friend. Twitter is not a private space. Anything you say on Twitter, because you have to type it, is considered written documentation. It is considered the same way a note is, an email is, anything you have to type, it is now written and discoverable. For the love of God, people, learn a little bit about the law, a tiny bit. Just a smidgen. Because see, when you make outrageous claims online, especially when you write it down, and when it's written down, it is documented, it can be printed, it can be saved. You now, if you end up getting sued, have to go through the discovery process where basically you need to put up or shut up. You need to prove everything you were saying was true. And I don't think Mr. Toye or Monica or Jamie can provide any solid substantial proof that anything they were saying was true. Now, Funimation has attorneys, I'll give them that, and they probably have Sony's backing right now, but still, how do you defend a, in my estimation, trash investigation that has obviously been compromised? How do you defend this? All of y'all being sued are up the creek without a paddle, and it's exactly what you deserve. And for those in the voice acting industry, in particular, Sean Schimmel, Sonny Strait, Christopher Sabat, who want to stand by Monica because she's your friend, let me recite a line from one of my favorite songs by Avenged Sevenfold, The Beast and the Harlot. Said line goes, I don't believe in fairy tales and no one wants to go to hell. You've made the wrong decision, and it's easy to see. If you want to serve above or be a king below with us, you're welcome to the city where your future is set forever. You have made your beds. Now you have to lie in them. I hope you continue to stand by Monica, even as she and Jenna and Marchi and others, in my estimation, are proven to be liars. I hope you continue to stand by her as Funimation burns down to the ground. Metaphorically speaking, I am not calling for an actual fire. Please do not commit arson. What I mean when I say burns down to the ground is that Funimation gets put out of business. So, as Funny falls, I hope you three stooges fall as well. This is the price of your misguided loyalty, and you deserve everything that comes to you. Anyhow, that's my video. That's my rant. Long story short, Vic was fired for no good reason, from what I can tell. That Jelly Bean story is by no means sexual. And they're being sued, as they should be. And I hope that every person dumb enough to stand by them will, suffer the same fate, right? So if Monica loses her job, Chris and Sunny and Sean should lose their jobs too. So that's just my opinion. That's one woman's opinion on the situation. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether it's both, whether it's neither. Let a sister know. Have a good day. Bye.